Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Scree Gear is more than apparel. It's a tribute to the relentless, the tireless, the true guardians of the wilderness. It's for those who seek not just a game, but a legacy. Not just a sport, but a way of life. In our gear, you're more than a hunter. You're a story, a tradition, a legend in the making. Scree is your journey, your triumph, your success. Join the working man revolution. Success awaits.
Welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast with Kevin and Chuck. Today we're going to talk about secret hiding places. We're talking about hiding people, hiding your stuff, hiding your gold, whatever you got to do. You're afraid of leprechauns? This is the episode for you.
If you're a pirate...
Not the episode.
I mean, pirates got to hide gold too.
That's it. We all gotta. Maybe the pirates are gonna get some good insight today.
The pirates had a jump on that, man.
All right. So, I think what I find is it's almost like hiding in plain sight always seems to be really the better hiding places. The obvious hiding places. It's funny. I got I obviously being prepper guy, I buy silver coins and gold coins and different things, right? So I ordered from a certain company and I get a letter and they're like, it's cool to have, silver and gold and whatever. A safe is good, but not always the best place. And it said, whatever you do, don't hide your gold and silver in your master bedroom or you're an idiot. And I'm like, shit, now I have to move my freaking... And, but that's true.
I was in my sock drawer
exactly.
This whole time,
and I think it mentioned the sock drawer. And they were like, you think the sock drawer is safe, but it turns out maybe not.
All right.
So these are the things we think about. You all go with the obvious. And honestly, you know what? You never expect to be robbed.
Right.
Nobody thinks about that.
Mm-hmm.
I know I had mentioned the story about the guy breaking in and chasing him out in the lawn.
Mm-hmm.
It's so unlikely something like that would ever happen. Mm-hmm. And I know one of my kids had a friend from school, and sure enough, his family got robbed, and they just came in, and, mom and dad are at work all day.
Right.
And they came in, and they just freaking took all kinds of stuff, TVs. And your kid's devastated when they take the PlayStation and the, that sucks, and you just, and I just felt so bad, for these people. And I'm like, man, that really sucks. And and then you think for a week or two, you're like, oh, I should get video cameras and, and do that. And then 3 weeks later, you're like, no, I'm back on with my life and whatever. Yeah. I don't care. Then the guy gets robbed again. He got robbed 3 times in a row. And I'm like, you're killing me, man.
The second time, it would be definitely a video camera deadbolt time. But, another scenario where that happens is houses burn down sometimes.
Houses do.
And so... not necessarily, everything that's in your house is safe, even if you lock it up. I know a couple people that have lost their houses to fires.
Yeah. So, these are the things. I mean, again, I don't know what, we're going to talk about. It's going to protect against fire. But actually, I think we might have some ideas.
I got some ideas.
So, we can mix it up here. I don't know. So, let's talk about hiding places.
Yeah, you know what? One of the good ideas, if you're trying to hide things outdoors, obviously underground is always best.
Uh-huh.
But it's easy to find those caches with the metal detector or, something like that.
Yeah.
And one good idea that I heard about was when you do bury your stash, as long as it's watertight and safe, burying a big chunk of metal over it. Find some trash, an old piece of bicycle. And they start digging, they find a bicycle, and that's what set off the metal detector. Move on,
Yeah.
And I did strangely, came home one day.
All right.
My neighbor was in my yard with a metal detector, and he dug up a section of my yard. And he saw me pull it in and kicked over the sod back in and waved.
Hey, neighbor!
Back over to his yard.
Yeah.
And he's one of those people that,
they're strange.
The SHTF moment comes, he's going to be the first one I eat.
That's bad. No, exactly. One of the things I'll tell you to throw off the guy with the metal detector, about a year or two ago, I lost a wedding ring. Mm-hmm. And I knew right where, I'm an idiot, and my hands were dirty. It had been raining, so I wiped my hands off in the grass, and I didn't want to wipe them on my pants right away because they're covered with filth and they're all wet. So I just shake my hands like you're wringing them out kind of thing. And sure enough, the wedding ring freaking goes flying. Mm-hmm. And of course you hear, remember when we bought that and they were like, you really need it tighter. And you were like, no, I don't want something, right. Yeah. So immediately that backfired on me and is not, a good thing. But back to the reason I bring this up, I go and I actually bought a metal detector. You need to borrow one, you know who to go to. I buy a metal detector and I go out there and I'm freaking finding metal like crazy everywhere I go. Really? And I'm pissed because it turns out I'd been taking out the garbage was where I did it. And apparently the people who owned the house prior to me were pigs, and every freaking bit of garbage is everywhere all mixed in this lawn. Well, it turns out you want to sabotage metal detector guy, throw a handful of freaking pennies out in the yard.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And I'm digging. I'm like, oh, here it is. I got it now. And sure enough, freaking, nope, it's a penny. It's a nail. Yep. It's a penny. And I'm like, bastard, Mm-hmm. So pennies in the yard are definitely a good way to throw off metal detector guy. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, there's more advanced equipment. People know, this is the size of, a buried gun stash versus, for the more advanced guy. But as far as pissing me off or your neighbor, pennies seem to do the trick.
All right. Now, how would you, if you were going to put something underground, how would you do that would keep it dry, keep it airtight?
All right. I know on cheaperthandirt.com, they have underground storage containers.
Really?
And they have, they got the little clips, and they're usually plastic, but they do make a seal, and they usually have the metal clips that, crimp down and hold it. They have tubes. They call them burial tubes for guns that are meant to go in there. People bury their guns, their ammo. One of the things I've considered, and I guess you can come over to my house and find out, but if you want to drain my pond and dig under there, you might find guns buried under there. But you might not.
You might not.
That's something you're going to have to decide if that's something you want to do. But, that's if you're really worried about long term, that's not somewhere somebody's going to come by and go, let me look in here.
Yeah. Now, another great way to do it is PVC pipe. Mm-hmm. You can get up to 4 inches easily.
And you have the screw caps with 4 inch for the clean out.
Throw
they
some
work
rice
perfect.
in there and absorb any moisture, and you can stick that underground pretty safely for a while. And a good way to do that is just don't have it under a specific spot like the Pirates X marks the spot.
I like the X.
All right, three paces from a specific tree, or 10 paces from a specific tree, north or south.
Due north or due south or whatever. Right.
Put a distinct rock on top of where you buried it.
All right.
Something like that. You know what Also, is a good idea is camouflaging that PVC. You can spray paint it. You know, if you say get a good matchup, what I did actually was I ripped a piece of bark off one of the trees in my woods.
All right.
I took it into the paint store and
had to match it
up. And they're like, it can't be 100%. Yeah, because there's different colors in the bark.
All right.
But it's a very similar color. Take a piece of PVC, spray paint it that color, and hoist it up into the trees. People don't look up.
No.
You know? But,
I like it. What
That's
else do you have
an idea for
outside? All
something
right, so burying.
that's in, quick, easy access.
You tuck something in the rafters of your shed.
Right.
People don't spend a lot of time out there, and, they come to rob you. Oh, there's the snowblower. Oh, there's the, whatever, the big obvious thing. They're not usually...
house looking for your guns. That's,
Well, he might go through your shed a little bit.
He might be a
little bit more. And so, these are all things. Then, the other thing, I always used to read a lot of the spy, secret guy books. They talk about actually having like buried 55-gallon drums in various cities or whatever. Oh, I have a point where, I can always go there and get my big stash buried.
Right. And it's even reasonable to think about your bug out location.
Right.
En route. Someplace en route to your bug out location.
En route, and maybe even when you get there, if it's, 20 miles away, maybe, I know you're saying, well, gee, mine's 3 hours away. Well, that might be a problem to get to when the time comes. That's good if you're watching the news and you can plan it out and you're ready to jump at, a couple days early just in case. Right. And, oh, crap, I just quit my job and disappeared and blew off that meeting. And,
Turns out swine flu wasn't a big deal.
So, 3 hours away might be a problem, so I don't know. But just the same, if your location where you're going to is somewhere where you're not there every day on the regular, maybe having a supply, even food becomes valuable, in hard times. Having that buried and somewhere people aren't going to necessarily come across it. I'd imagine if you buried a 55-gallon drum and then slid the outhouse on top of it, not too many people would be digging around in there. Yeah, okay. I don't know.
I actually had a friend of mine that was a contractor, though.
Yeah.
This is one of the things you want to be careful with about that sort of stuff long term.
Yes.
Well, he thought when he built the foundations, the best way to get rid of the trash was to throw it in alongside the foundation and then cover it up.
Yeah.
Well,
I know where this is going.
2 or 3 years later, he had to go back and clean up all the trash that was floating up to the top of the dirt.
Yeah.
So long term, you want to make sure you got, maybe a big rock on top or something broad
keep it
that's
down,
going to
huh?
keep it down.
All right.
Yeah, that's only for long term situations if you're burying something light.
All right.
Just something to keep in mind.
So outside, I've also heard about, I've seen, they take logs, and you see people hiding stuff in logs and in the wood pile. And it's pretty cool. I've seen them actually break off and drill out like knots and put in like the little wood in like a knot in a log. And they'll just stick a broken branch that's the right size and kind of cork the hole, and they're able to hide and have a big stash right there in the log pile.
That's a pretty good idea.
Nobody's coming and stealing your logs. I guess if you forget 10 years down the road, it kind of sucks, but, whatever. Again, these are all ideas, different things. Just get your mind, thinking. Right. Obviously, you know what? If you hear us talking about it, we've thought about it. Other people have probably thought about it. There's a billion hiding places on the internet. The upside to that is the criminals can't check them all.
Right.
They can't check everything. And yeah, they've seen the usual things. They go through, people do this, people do that. They can't check everywhere, and it's hard.
Little word of advice, don't hide your drugs in the tank behind your toilet. That's where the cops check.
I'm gonna have a problem when I get home. I'm gonna have to go use your bathroom. No, but that's the thing is, you know what? As much as we say it, like I was saying about in the master bedroom, that's where everybody has it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. You gotta say, you know what? I need to make a change. Now, I'm pretty smart, and I was like, you know what? They're right. I better get the silver out of the sock drawer. Mm-hmm. And now it's laying on the floor next to my bed because I haven't come up with something better yet. Now, hopefully, by the time you hear this, I've worked out this problem.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, you got to actually act. It's not just hearing about it. Oh, I listened to that podcast. There were some good ideas, but you actually have to take action and move forward. So
now, when you're stashing your gold, are you going to make sure that there's a second person that knows where this is?
Oh,
because if you die,
if I die, sucks to be.
Care?
It's like a treasure hunt. I like to leave them with a. Oh,
you got to leave some clues somewhere.
Clues, all right.
Get Scooby-Doo on the case.
Scooby-Doo. So, all right, let's move back into the house. So we've kind of covered, rough basics, but it's really outside is just kind of endless, and you can kind of whatever.
Right.
And hiding it in the seat of your tractor, probably not a good idea because they're going to steal your tractor.
Mm-hmm. Don't hide it in something somebody wants to steal.
Anyway, back again. We're moving inside the house.
Okay.
So let's talk about, say we want to hide people.
Okay.
We want a secret room, and it's, what is it? What is the hiding place? What's the girl? The movie, The Jews, Anne Frank. That's the one. And they're hiding in the wall in that one. That was tough. And because that wall was thin, and they were like right there. That's crazy.
I think Anne Frank was in an attic. Maybe we're
no. There was something in the movie that there was more to it. She was in the attic for forever. Mm-hmm. That I'm agreeing with you. It definitely was attic and all that, but there was definitely
all right.
I don't know. What the hell do I know? Whatever. It's irrelevant to the story. Just work with me. So you want to hide. You want to build a secret room. You see these things with trapdoors. You like the Addams Family. You're like, hey, I might need something like that for my house. What do you got?
Right. Well, what a great idea with that is just a basic. If you want to stash some gold or silver or a couple guns that may or may not be illegal in the future.
All right.
If you know anything about drywall, it's not that hard to cut a space out.
Yeah.
Do your stash and then just plaster and paint over it.
All right.
Again, it'll be invisible. But it's not something easily accessible. You have to kick your wall apart to get to it.
I've already considered this, and now I'm going to have to go rip open my walls. And you're giving me trouble here. See, I wasn't going to mention that one in the podcast. Because building things in the wall when you're putting a wall up, very easy to do. You can put the guns in sideways. You can fit a whole AR-15 with the clip and the whole scope on it, the whole thing. You turn it sideways. You're good to go.
And boxes of ammo.
Boxes of ammo. You can fill pretty high up in a wall. So, again,
you don't want to be around when your house does catch on fire.
No, that ends badly. They do just explode rather than shoot, though. So that's a little...
Well, yeah, that's good.
Kind of.
Just keep your distance.
Yeah, and not a good idea.
Your neighborhood fireman in after your cat.
All right.
Yeah.
So, moving right along... We were going to talk about secret rooms and doorways to rooms.
Okay.
So what are you thinking there?
Well, I think a good idea to keep in mind is, if you're thinking about this, is where is that space, that negative space, not going to be missed so easily?
Okay.
And in my mind, I would think like a basement wall. You don't notice necessarily.
Yeah, that depth perception, right?
3 feet off the foundation. When you're in the basement itself.
Right.
Unless you get a tape measure out, you won't notice that.
Let's say the stairs come down on the south side of the house into the downstairs. Mm-hmm. If you put it on that north wall, it's going to be hard to have the perspective to say, you know what, I think that wall's in a couple feet.
Right.
And
especially if you have something that it would be a distraction. Like, say you had a closet underneath your stairs that led to a closet to the false wall.
Right. I like that.
You think about that negative space, you open a door and you see a bunch of coats and...
Yeah, whatever. You're not...
Yeah, move on.
You move on, and that's it. And that's, something like that. I gotta say, I would really love to be building a house again and I so want to make a freaking tunnel.
Mm.
You have no idea how much I want to freaking get some big machines and dig a tunnel and throw a hole in the back of my house and have a tunnel coming out in the shed or whatever. And
yeah. Tunnel to Mexico.
Tunnel is awesome. I'm just saying, if you're going to build the homestead, maybe you want to think about a tunnel.
Yeah.
All right? I'm putting that out there.
Yeah. Tunnel doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be 6 foot tall.
Like bookshelves are a big one. I see them all the time. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line, it's funny. A lot of the sniper books, one of the things, this relates. We're going to get back there.
Okay.
One of the sniper books, they talk about, you're all camouflaged. Yeah, you look like this. But you want to look at the lines. You look at the horizon, and do you see anybody popping up? Oh, your head's there. Oh, there's this. Right. You're looking at the lines of things. And that's really when you're making the hidden closet in your house. If you have a wallpaper wall and you have a doorway cut in it and you can see the freaking seam, it's going to be ridiculous. It's not going to work. Now, obviously, I'm going with a more exaggerated thing so you understand what I'm talking about. But just the same, with a bookshelf, if all the way you have one panel, a 1 by, a piece of pine, maybe 5/4 by whatever, every 3 feet, then all of a sudden it's doubled, 2 5/4 right next to each other. Right. It's going to look weird. Mm-hmm. But if you put a 2-inch face on the center of each one, and then you have the two sides behind the seam, it's not going to be so obvious.
As an old carpenter, I used to know said that's why God invented trim.
And that's it. To be able to go that one step further makes the huge difference. It's all about the lines and seaming, and you need symmetry. That's what people expect to see, and it needs to flow. Mm-hmm. I saw one where they actually had in the kitchen where the kitchen cabinet actually went in along with the whole secret door. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If you have panels in next to cabinets, people expect that. They expect cabinet walls to, made up next to each other, and it's not unexpected. Now, to get those to swing at a nice angle and whatever, it takes some ingenuity. Right. But you know what? If you look online, there's a billion pictures, there's a billion how-tos, there's a million people to do it. You also need to think about things need to float. Mm-hmm. I actually built a bookcase for somebody one time, and we put a trapdoor behind it, and the same thing. We used these big sturdy hinges where it would sit a 1/4 inch off the carpet, and it never quite touched it. If you looked at it, you couldn't really tell because normally they're sunk in, but you could swing it effortlessly right open, and it had a little latch that was hidden that would hold it, but you could effortlessly swing it. And what this would do is you're not going to leave any mark on the carpet. You're not going to have the drag mark in the floor or the dust or the whatever, that's going to make it obvious. Hey, you know what? Something's going on here. Because these are the things people look for when they're trained and they're looking for, hidden compartments.
Right. And you want to keep in mind when you are hiding something, whether or not it's something you need to access regularly or something that you can hide, for long periods of time.
Right. Now, I know everybody's seen on the internet, they have the guy leans back and a trapdoor kind of kicks open on his headboard in his bed and he pulls out his rifle and whatever. Yeah. That's what you're talking about. How cool are you if you can grab it in 2 seconds? Mm-hmm. If I can grab a shotgun from my headboard, that's pretty awesome.
Right.
Again, it's all about, you need to plan these things out. You want it to look natural. You want it to seem hidden. You want it to, be something that's going to work.
Right.
Now, what about smaller things? Same thing. We're back to hiding. Again, you might have a fireplace. You might have a log in there. Like I said, drilling out knots is awesome. You're going to have stuff hidden in there. What else you got? You know what? Honestly, the books, the cutout books, turns out you don't even need to buy one. you can just cut out of a crappy book and load it up with crap. Now you're like, oh, that's obvious. But again, I think we might have even mentioned it in a previous podcast. But you have a billion
Nobody's
books.
Nobody's going to steal your book.
You know, they might knock over the bookshelf. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you, and just throw all the books on the floor, see what opens up.
Right.
I've seen that happen, at least on TV, who knows. But maybe you have a way to keep that book shut unless you, mess with it. Mm-hmm. Use a little ingenuity, a little creativity. Yeah. What else do you have for hiding?
Well, it's a good idea when you're talking about something smaller.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, something inconspicuous. A good, simple way to do it is take a 1 foot log.
Okay.
Take a bandsaw. Cut off a piece of that, real close, real tight. Cut off both ends. Drill it out in the middle. Glue one end back on so it fits perfectly.
Right.
Then you can drive a pin in the top so it pivots and spins.
Okay.
So it looks like a log, but you've got a big space in there where you can just turn
core,
the top
right?
off. Yeah,
okay.
Core it out. If you glue it back on the bottom piece, you can line them up. As long as you cut something, real thin, that log, that bark, everything is going to line up perfectly. Right up.
Yeah.
And be almost invisible. You do a little practice with that. It's pretty easy to get it down.
Now, I've also seen, we've seen waste pipes.
Mm-hmm.
People will add the extra little PVC, and, I've seen this on the internet quite a bit lately. But again, you know what? Even if I've heard that trick, and I'm like, sometimes people hide stuff. When I see the cap in your waste pipe there, I'm not really excited about unscrewing it and going, let me just check. Let me just check that.
Right.
That's not necessarily how I would do it. So, but again, if it's really kind of awkward, I mean, I got to say, a lot of the pictures I've seen are like, that T doesn't make sense.
Right.
Why would somebody have, coming out there? You just got to make it flow. You got to plan that a little bit.
I do have
because no plumber in his right mind is going to have it make a 90 and go to the outside of the house, but then instead of a straight 90, it's going to T and go another foot at that angle down, and then have a clean out, because it's going to collect nastiness and just be bad.
Right. I live in an older house that I've done a lot of remodels and modifications. And I've got a lot of old waste pipes in my basement that one runs from my kitchen down. That's an old abandoned washing machine.
Okay.
And there's nothing in there, but there could be.
Exactly.
It would be a perfect spot, because you don't look around in the basement and think, all right, where's this waste pipe? What does that go to?
Right.
What does this
You're not matching it up.
Right.
Exactly. So just think it out a little bit.
Right. Just
run
it through and dye it into a wall, or dye it into the ceiling.
It's the level of security that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. If you're just worried about somebody who has 10 minutes in your house while you're out and is racing to get out, he's not going to check any waste pipe.
Right.
That guy's going to go, oh, there's a TV here in the living room, and there's an Apple computer sitting on the end table. I'm going to grab those and be gone.
Back of your Apple computer.
Maybe. I don't know. Now if it's a PC.
Me personally, I have a lot of hooligan children in my neighborhood.
Okay.
If anyone's going to rob me,
it's them.
I've got about six suspects that.
Okay.
I'm fairly sure are not going to be cutting apart my pipes in my house.
Well, people might want to go back to our home security episode. Mm-hmm. You might want to rethink some of that. Mm-hmm. You also might want to consider the video cameras and the things we've talked about. Right. But moving along, that's a big thing, though, is the hidden stashes. And again, if you're really worried about it, the more elaborate, the more thought you put into it, how plausible these things are in that place and whatever. I've seen a lot of the wall socket safe things. They're, look at, it looks just like a receptacle. One, does it still work? can you get one that, because they do. You can rig that up that it'll still function and be hidden. And again, is it in your master bedroom?
Mm. And if you're handy, it's not too hard to create things like that. You don't have to spend $500 and order it with your credit card on the internet.
Well, your credit card on the internet, come on.
Yeah, you can put something together fairly simply.
Right. And that's the thing. You shouldn't have to spend a penny in order to come up with some kind of good hiding place. The other thing, I mean, honestly, you could go up in your attic and lay it in between the insulation and a beam.
Right.
It's not a big deal. You can find somewhere. Again, somebody's not going to come up and rip up everything. Now, if the team of FBI agents are there ripping up your house after some horrible incident, yeah, eventually they'll probably find it.
Right.
But, again, it's all your level of, but are they going to find the guns under my pond? That's the question.
Probably not.
So it's,
but if the FBI's raiding your house and you're trying to defend it, you can't really get to those guys in time.
That's true. Well, again, levels, different stages. Right. We all have something we do.
The M16 on the in the drywall that you can kick out.
Maybe it's a good thing that
the FBI might find that if you're not around, though. So I mean, it's
all
balance.
Something.
What do you need? How fast do you need it?
Right.
How frequently are you gonna have to access it?
That's
it's a case by case situation with what you're trying to keep away.
The NRA sells that little clock that sits on the mantle, and the face flips down, and you're supposed to hide your gun in there.
Yeah.
And you know what? I gotta say, if you're a criminal and you haven't figured this out, that clock, does that because everybody's seen it, and my wife keeps saying, well, yeah, it's cool, and you can have the gun right there on the table, and it's good in front of the kids. And maybe if that's all you're worried about is I just don't want the kids to know it's there.
Right.
Then you're all right. But my wife is like, yeah, but you can't show it to everybody in the house who comes in and go,
look at this.
You know what? Look how cool I am because I have this.
And that's a big spot about hiding spots is be careful who you share it with.
And, again, that's, we're telling you all this stuff all in fun. And you get the idea. We haven't given away our big secrets in case you're coming to rob my house. Like I said, I do want you to try and drain my pond and get to the bottom of that. Mm-hmm. But, aside of that...
Just because I've been wanting to drain the pond and dredge it a little bit, make some depth. But
I may just put that out there, I just put that out there. But what else? You got now tell me about hiding things on your person. Or maybe your automobile.
Well, it's not too difficult to buy clothing.
Okay.
That is bulky enough to keep things in. I don't know if you remember back far enough. There used to be a big thing with these starter jackets that were different football team names. Real baggy, real big situation. I knew a career criminal, and his the way he would make his living was he'd wear one of these jackets. He'd go shopping at Walmart.
Ooh.
He'd stick things in his coat. Take them in the fitting room.
Yeah.
Put most of the stuff back. Go to the next Walmart. Return what he had stolen.
Right.
And then do the same thing and go store to store, the same chain. And then he would go fill up his gas tank, have a nice steak dinner, and the next day he would hit Kmart's.
Oh.
And then the next day it would be Target's. And the next day, and he would just keep this big rotation going. And of course, I met him, and he told me this story right after he was getting out of prison.
Well, sure.
So I don't know that
it might not be the best plan,
but ultimately, baggy clothing is good for that sort of thing.
Okay. Now, I actually have a jacket I bought from Sig that looks like a Carhartt type jacket, and the lining on either side has a Velcro strip that, believe it or not, it's huge. It's like a probably 14 inches top to bottom on either side. I can fit the 1911 in there, no problem. I can fit, on the other side a bunch of magazines, with the rounds, and hopefully the two even out in weight to kind of keep it sitting. Still a big gun like that, it pulls on the neck a little bit. But you know what? You can't tell from the front that it even has like a hidden seam or whatever. The Velcro, it just hides it nice. And actually later, I bought a leather jacket and the same thing. I went to, somebody who does work with leather. And I was like, look, can't you, put a liner in here and make it so I can carry my concealed carry in here? Again, maybe you don't need a 1911. Maybe you get something a little bit smaller. That might be smart. But just the same, these hidden pockets, the Velcro, you can make it seamless.
Right.
But there's a million places on your person.
Right. And, if you get searched by the police, they're going to find a gun.
Right. I mean, that's ridiculous. Right. I'm not talking about...
What else might you hide? Good things to have with you might be, something small. Handcuff key, if you're concerned about that. That would be easy. As easy as you want it to be.
You hide it with your belt loop. In the loop, right. I've seen, where it's sewn in there. Actually, I know someone who modified a handcuff key where it actually hangs off the tag on their zipper. And they put the hole in and had it, so it's basically clipped onto the tab on your zipper on your jeans, and you have the handcuff key there. And you know what? People feel it. They don't undo your fly and look in there 90% of the time. Right. And it's there. Guess what? It's right where you need it to be if you're handcuffed in the front. Now, I know they usually handcuff you in the back, but it's fairly accessible. But that's where the belt loop comes in, and having one hidden there for the back.
Right.
It gives you options.
If you're carrying a lot of money, say day to day.
Okay.
You might want to keep a small portion in your wallet. If you get stuck up, get mugged, it's nice to be able to pull out $25 and get to the guy, or throw your wallet at him.
I usually have...
if you have your money...
Yeah. I usually keep my money in two different pockets. I have a little money in one pocket and more money in another pocket. Again, when it leaves a big imprint...
As simple as sliding it into your sock, or... something as basic as sticking it in your shoe. It's not going to help with a strip search, but on the street when somebody's in a rush trying to get what they can get, they're not going to pat you down. I do have a friend also, this is something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
I do have an acquaintance, or I had an acquaintance after this situation. It was not necessarily an acquaintance anymore.
Okay.
But he was arrested, had marijuana on him.
All right.
And they did not find him when they searched him, threw him in the back of the cop car, and he stuffed it in the seat of the cop car. And then that was the end of it.
I'll tell you the best I've ever seen. I had a buddy of mine back when I was in the Navy, and we were in, I don't know where we were. We were in Virginia, and he had this old beater car, and some of the floor had just completely rusted through. Those old muscle cars, they all get the rot, and had the floor mats on it covering it up. Guy had an open beer. It's driving. Cop comes, puts the lights on, comes up behind us. He kicks aside the floor mat, sets the beer on the ground, puts the floor mat back over it. Now, it's on the road outside. Right. Puts the floor mat back over it, comes over, deals with the cop. All right, no problem. You guys have a good day. Lifts it back up, puts it back in the car, and we drive away. And I'm like, he's got balls.
Yeah, that's some balls.
But, and it paid off in his case. Again, think outside the box, right. I mean, it's that kind of thing. People, I had mentioned in the other episode about they have bolts that unscrew and you can slide stuff inside. I've seen Zippos with, different things. Cops have to be onto that kind of thing. But again, if you have a bolt and you actually put it somewhere in your car, if you have a bolt sitting in the ashtray, right. They might check it. But if you have it threaded in somewhere and you find some hole and just kind of set it in there in the frame or something underneath,
a toolbox with a bunch of bolts in it,
then, maybe not so obvious. So these are the things. I'm just saying, think outside the norm. Look for the extra, the unexpected. And again, just because you see something somewhere doesn't mean, that's the only that it's no good. Oh, they hide stuff in books. That's obvious. Like I said,
Right.
DVD cases. You throw something in there. If you have $100 stashed in your DVD cases, and you have 500 DVDs downstairs on the shelf,
Right.
Who's gonna look there? They might steal all your DVDs. Maybe you put it in the one they don't want to steal.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe you stick it in the Steel Magnolias DVD case and you're safe.
And again, I don't know. These aren't foolproof. I'm just, giving you options.
Right. Nothing's foolproof.
Taping
but
things under a drawer, not bad. But again, that's why you
the
see,
drawers all out.
whenever you see the movies with the drug dealers and they come over looking for stuff, the place is always thrashed. All the drawers are ripped out and thrown, and they seem to cover those kind of things. Things are ripped out of the closets, chairs and stuff are tipped over.
Yeah. I've never necessarily had to search somebody's house for something.
No.
But, I just try and keep that in mind. If somebody's really tearing things apart,
Yeah.
where is someplace that they're not going to tear apart?
Right.
And ultimately, if somebody's searching your house, they're going to find the Coke can that's not really a Coke can. They're going to find the outlet that's not.
Although they do have the shaving cream that's the right weight.
I didn't even think
and it
of that.
squirts.
I didn't even think of that.
They sell it where it squirts. So these are all options.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you guys could go to iTunes, put on there maybe some good hiding place ideas.
Don't give away your spot, though.
Not your spot, but you know what? Maybe you tell me about your buddy's spot.
No, that's good, because I want to rob your buddy.
All right. You might find some more information on our Facebook website. Check in the links and preppingbadass.com. You find some good tips on how to secure your home and be prepared. Otherwise, stay safe, and we'll see you next week.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.